morning, everybody. Welcome to On Point here at Bethany Church, the Transformation Church of New Jersey. We're so glad that you have joined us today. As always, we ask that you please do us a favor and share this with somebody, tag somebody, get somebody on as we discuss great topics, national news, culture, scripture, life, relationships, whatever, all around a biblical framework. This is On Point again. Of course, I am Pastor Nick. Bishop is on his way back from Malawi. We had a great Sunday last Sunday for our Chosen celebration. We sponsored children. Got a chance, quick chat with them the other day, just real fast. I was like, how is it? And, start talking about how it was. And then we just believe that God has put us again in his will to be able to serve and to help those who are in need. But again, we'll talk more about that in a little bit. We're here with Reverend Pastor Richard White. Is here with us as our guest. And again, welcome to On Point. This is not live, so don't try to call in because you're not gonna get anybody. We are having a little stream issue, so we're putting this out. If you missed Bible study, I understand the stream wasn't working on Wednesday night either. It is posted. Go back and check it out as we talked about opportunities, seasons, divine moments. Go back and check it out if you can, if you missed it. We believe that God was moving and speaking to us Wednesday evening. So it's On Point. You can, of course, talk in the comments. We have our admins there that can converse with you in the comments section. But again, please do us a favor and share. And we thank you for joining us again for another version of On Point. So, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Good to see you too. God's good. Tomorrow is Reveal Day. Tomorrow we're going to have all the reveals parts up on the altar, and when we come in, have service at some point in worship service, we're going to come up and see the child that chose us.
That's wonderful.
And I just think it's just biblically imperative that here it is. I'm reading through the Bible in a year chronologically. First time doing it this way. For those that don't know, your Bible's not put together chronologically, but they have a Bible plan where you read it within a chronological order. So you read a lot of the minor prophets while you're reading the books of the Kings and Chronicles, because that's when they were prophesying. Zechariah was prophesying during the time of Ezra and Nehemiah, so you read those books together to give it some context. And what was glaring to me throughout the Kings, and I saw it before, but it really hit me this time. We always talk about how Israel, their idolatry, got them into Babylonian captivity and God judging them. But a huge part of why God was sent them to Babylon was because of how they treated the oppressed.
Yeah.
I mean, book after book of how they treated people. And God's major issue was you're having these services, you're doing all this stuff, but look at how you're treating people. I got a problem with you. And I was reading Nehemiah the other day, and after they came out of they're coming out of the Babylonian captivity, rebuilding the wall, rebuilding the temple, and the rich are loaning money to the poor people with interest. And Nehemiah is upset.
Livid.
He's livid. Like, are y'all serious? Y'all doing this again? You're taking advantage of people that don't have. And again, it just shows me over and over again how God's heart is towards those who are disenfranchised, those who don't have, and those who are oppressed, and those who have shouldn't minimize those who do not have.
No, exactly right.
I'm sorry, that was a whole range.
No, but you're right, because it applies even today. You know, that you can see it now, whether it was gentrification, whether it's moving folk, whether, maybe putting a stadium in Chinatown, where they going to go? Right. So, it's same thing is perpetuating itself even in everything that we see going on today.
Money, unfortunately, not having money is not the problem. Again, the Bible says the love of money is the root of our attitudes about it. Instead of seeing the resources that God bless us with as a means to help others and to glorify him, we've kind of taken on this American attitude of greed and self, and the more I have, minus everybody else. Nothing wrong with you having nice things.
That's right.
You can do all that. But I don't think it should be at the expense of helping those who lack. When Jesus says, if you've done it unto them,
you've done unto me. Done unto me. And there's something like you said about having all these things. My dad told me when I was young, because I used to like, I want this, I want that. He said, look, man, you don't need nearly as much as you think you need.
Yep.
And when folks sit back and think about their lives, even you don't need nearly as much as you think you need.
Yep.
And there's so many other good things you can do with your time, with your talent, with your treasure to help other people. Yeah. And it's, I'm doing a study on the fruits of the Spirit, and and all of those things are what God wants us to do, and that's exactly what you've been reading about God's people not doing.
Yeah.
Kindness, goodness, faith, patience, love, gentleness, self-control. He just wants us to emulate that.
Yes. Taking advantage of people. When God is a giver himself, we're most like God when we're giving and when we're sacrificial.
That's right.
Especially to those who didn't do anything to earn it. It's just out of the kindness and the generosity of our hearts we do for others. But it just continues to baffle me how sometimes we conflate the gospel with American values. And they're not the same for the most part.
Or the lack of, always trying to focus on self.
Yes.
Which I had somebody ask me, he said, you all spend a lot of time on a missions offering now, and I said, well, Pastor Nick gives us a scripture, and it's not to make folks feel guilty about giving. It's to give you, can you empathize and sympathize with the need, and if you have the capability to do something about it, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. The majority of giving scriptures, and there's a lot of them, are about helping other people. The majority of them are about that.
Yeah.
It talks about that. We believe in tithing, we believe in first, all that stuff. But it talks more about helping people than it does all the rest of the offerings.
People, story after story after story after story.
And we need to be taught that. And that what you said your dad said, I replay that in my head. I actually happened this week. I was gonna go get something. I said, you know what? I remember Pastor Rich said, you don't need as much as you. And literally every now and then that will pop up in my head. And I'm like, because I know other things we could do with it, that's helping other people or the kids and blah, 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 blah. Not that, again, you can't buy stuff for yourself.
That's right.
It's just, as Paul says, considering others before yourself.
And being content in whatever state that you are.
Yes.
There's something about enjoying the journey even when the journey is rough.
Yes. Yes.
And a lot of times, even as Christians, we don't know how to do that. It's not like, well, why me? Well, why not you?
Right. That's true. That's true. Yeah, because we always think it's everybody.
Yeah, it's everybody else.
But it's never.
Yeah, but it's going to come your way at some point.
Look, I'm teaching through Job and noonday.
Yes.
Even the righteous suffer.
That's right.
That's what the Bible shows us.
The rain falls on the just and the unjust.
Yeah, it happens.
Just the way it is.
It does. So, because it's cool we're talking about this because I've been thinking about this as when I was reading through Esther. This is all tying together. When we got to the point of Haman and how Mordecai not bowing to him, one little small act threw him off. And when I was reading, I said, you know what? How many times when we read stories like Esther, Judas and Jesus, Esther, Haman, take any other comparison, we always read ourselves as the hero and never the villain.
Never the villain.
We always read ourselves as Jesus, never as Judas.
Right.
We're always Job, not Job's wife. We're always Esther and never Haman. But the Bible puts those villains in there or those people who are human and have flaws to show us that guess what, y'all? We're not always the hero of the story.
And guess what? We are the villain. We were born the villain.
Right?
We have to learn how to be good.
Exactly.
We are the other side. We are the villain.
Yes.
Oh, wicked man that I am.
Yes.
Oh, wretched man that I am.
Yes.
So, and folks don't always want to admit that they are the villain, and that it's only through the Lord that we have a shot at doing those things. And then we do those things for others because we think it's going to cover up.
Yep.
It's not genuine. It's the cover up.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate, but the reality is we're all born in sin.
Absolutely. And God's working on us to become that person.
That's right.
Less like Judas, because we all betray Jesus every day. I mean, for cheap. Let's not act like we don't.
Right.
All all of us, like Haman, something small threw us off, made us mad, and we can go as far as he did. But we may have said something or done something because somebody made us upset over something so minuscule when you think about it. Not even that deep.
That's right.
But again, the Bible shows us the flaws, the villains, to show us that sometimes
That's you.
that's you.
And it's not for us to think that, well, then what's the point? If I'm just the villain, why should I try? That's part of the journey.
Right.
And he wants to see that.
Yeah.
He wants to see that, okay, I know that was wrong. I'm not going to do that again. Okay,
Yes.
I know I have this flaw. I'm going to try to make that better. Not just, well, that's just the way I am.
Yeah. And I think that's where the Bible talks about Adam and Eve creating the image and likeness of God. They fall, and now the image is distorted. We're still in the image and likeness of God, but it's distorted. They take on a part of the serpent's image. And we start from, we're creating the image and likeness of God. And like you said, that distortion is not supposed to control us.
That's right.
We're supposed to be transformed, healed in that area. But there are times, as much as we don't want to admit it, we act a little more like Satan than we do God.
Right.
And it's not always the big stuff, sometimes the small stuff. Satan is selfish. He's manipulative. He's a backbiter. He's
lies.
a slanderer.
He's
He's
a
an
thief.
accuser. He's a liar. He's all those things, right? But again, we never read ourselves.
Yeah.
But God shows us that to show us the reality of our flawed humanity, but also the greatness of who he is and how our lives can be transformed and changed.
Right. And when God shows you that, and most times it's by yourself, and he shows it to you, you're like, okay, that's real, that's me.
Yeah.
And it starts, like when I first got saved, well, when I got re-saved, because I got saved at 12, but didn't really get,
Right. It
I
wasn't
came
real,
back
Right.
late on. I used to cry a lot.
Okay.
I was like, what is wrong with me? And at the time, I was in Pittsburgh at the time. My pastor said, that's just God melting away all that stuff you built over the years to protect what you thought was you.
Right.
What you thought was an important part of you. And it's finally starting to.
Yeah. He starts tearing down
Right.
his images
Right.
that aren't him.
That's right. That's
you know,
right.
so that his image.
Right. And you're like, wow, yeah,
Yeah.
ooh.
Will last. So we start off loved by God, his children, but like, you got kids, I got kids. You see yourself in them, good and bad, and you try to steer your children to the best parts of you, not to the worst, and away from the worst parts of
That's
you.
right.
I look at my kids sometimes, and I'm like, they get it honest. I can't be too mad at them because
Yeah, it's just me.
Right. It's just I try to, let's work through this so you could be better at this. Because like any good parent, I'm sure you feel the same way. I want my kids to be better than me, go further than me, do a whole lot better than I did. And to me, that's successful parenting, where you know how to live when I'm no longer here. And whatever I accomplished in life, if you want to, you can completely
you can far
outpace it.
exceed that. You can far exceed that. Yeah, you just want your kids to know right from wrong, and they have the ability to solve problems and think critically and know themselves.
Yes.
Before they go and try to do all this other stuff with other people, know who they are so they can figure out how it's best for them to live with that foundation. You lay the foundation and then you let them go.
Yeah, you take it, which now when you're grown, when you're young, a little more control. When you're older,
Yeah.
you're out the house, I put it in you. Now it's on you to go figure out what you're going to do with this.
No, you're right. When they're home, it's like, this is what you're going to do. Well, no, there's no question about it, But then when they get older, like our kids are older, sometimes they say, well, tell me what to do. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'll ask you, have you thought about this?
Yes.
Or have you thought about that? But I'm not telling you what to do.
I'll help give you wisdom, direction.
Right.
But
The telling is over.
yeah, let's talk through it.
Let's talk through it.
And you'll figure it out in the
You'll
conversation.
figure it out because
as we talking.
you have the capability to figure out, but that's a transition that some parents don't do that.
Right.
They just want to always tell them what to do.
Yeah.
And that's not good
Yeah.
inherently.
Which is why you have so many parents going to people's jobs saying, why you messing with my child? And, the person 30 years old and their parent going up to the job,
It's incredible, but it's the world we live in.
I know.
It's the world we live in.
We hope y'all enjoyed this conversation. Just, comment how you feel about this topic. There are a few things I want to get through because we got to talk about the Trump assassination attempt. We know James Earl Jones. We didn't get a chance to talk about it. James Earl Jones passed away last week, as well as Frankie Beverly from Frankie Beverly and Maze. They've been playing his music all past 2 weeks. Just a legend in New Orleans. But James Earl Jones, Darth Vader, Mufasa,
Mufasa.
Fences to Play.
Fences to Play. And Claudine.
Claudine, yeah.
Which, my wife said she's going to take my black card because I'd never seen Claudine.
I never seen it either, so I don't know for
But
that.
Claudine, which is a good, a solid James. But he was just, it's just the voice.
Yeah.
The voice.
Yeah, he was.
It was an incredible voice.
Absolutely. So we've heard more about school just started.
Yes, it did.
Just started.
And already.
And we got the shooting in the school in Georgia. A couple students got arrested this week for threatening to shoot schools up. I believe one kid took a gun to school. They found, the gun at school. My challenge is this. People say guns aren't the issue. People's hearts are, which is true because a gun doesn't have a will of its own.
That's right.
But if you know people's hearts are bad, why give them more to do bad with? And I'm pro-gun. I have no problem with guns. I got a problem with people owning AR-15s, those crazy assault rifles that they use in the military. Again, I'm all for personal security. I ain't got no beef with that.
Yeah.
But there's no reason why we should have the amount of guns we have and kids accessing
guns.
These guns.
And additionally, Pastor Nick, when you find out that somebody was investigated by the FBI.
Yes.
Okay, a year ago. If I'm investigating you and this is just my personal thought. If we're doing an investigation on you and we thought that there was some mental health or some issues, guess what? There can't be no guns in your house.
Right, exactly.
Nobody, not your mama, daddy, nobody can have, y'all can't have guns.
Yeah, not at all.
Because you never know what's going to happen. But certainly it's, as you and Bishop talked about last weekend, it's important, I think, that some of this wrath has to start falling on the parents.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Because I think the Oxford, Michigan one, was that last year? The parents are going to jail for that. Well, I believe the court case is still going on, I think.
Right.
And then the one down in Georgia, a mother was charged after a 6-year-old took a loaded gun to school. You're right. They're supposed to be locked up. And I get it. The South.
And they're not buying the gun.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
And sometimes the parents are like, okay, Merry Christmas. Here's an AR.
I know, right?
Merry Christmas.
Right. I know. And I get in the South, hunting is a part of.
And a lot of kids learn how to shoot when
they
they're
learn
very
how to
young.
shoot.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
In a controlled context.
In a controlled context. But a gun of war? We're not at war.
Why do you need a flamethrower? What do you need a flamethrower for? Why are they even legal as a civilian? Tell me what you need a flamethrower for.
Yeah.
There are people buying them when they do the gun buybacks. They turn them in. For what?
Yeah.
But you've had all these conspiracy theory people who they want to take all our guns, and you hear about them stockpiling guns and ammo for, I guess, some civil war they're expecting to happen. The level of conspiracy theories and craziness that's going on, I mean, it's always been there, but it seems like maybe because we hear about it more because of news and social media.
Social media and stuff.
Yeah, how people are so easily swayed and how extreme they can become. But again, politicians know this. The more I play on people's fears, the more I have their attention and the more I have their loyalty, because their fear of this will allow them to excuse this. And that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, and folks don't know how to block out nonsense and truth. You have to be able to separate the wheat from the tares, right? Yeah. And that's just even when you're talking to somebody. Okay, I'll take that, but that part right there, I'm gonna throw that away.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna deal with that.
Right.
And people don't do that. They just listen and listen, and it's unfortunate because what does that mean for your kids, for my kids?
Right.
And what's it gonna look like 10, 20, 30 years from now?
Yeah.
Just because how do we mitigate that from the continuation there? I have hope in the kids. I have hope in them being able to rectify some of this because they're tired. I didn't grow up thinking about my school getting shot up.
Yeah.
I wasn't worried about that.
Me neither. Yep.
The Georgia thing, the young lady was on TV with her mom. She said, I don't want to go back to school. I'm scared to go to school. I don't want to go to school.
Yeah.
Ever. I don't want to ever go back to that school.
Yep. And we're about to come up on a break real quick. my wife, she's really into the education thing now. It's like her thing with the kids.
Yeah.
And so many parents want to homeschool their kids or create these micro schools where it's like only like 6 or 8 of them with a teacher. Because of all this going on in the public school system and most governments and townships and cities' failures to really put the work into making our public schools right. But now I'm trying to be a conspiracy theorist. Please, if I'm crazy,
I tell you,
please let me know. I'm sure they don't mind these school systems failing so they can have all these charter schools. To me, whenever all these charter schools are popping up, and I have nothing against charter schools. This is not anti-charter.
It's not anti-charter.
What I'm saying is, whenever things are moved in this direction, somebody's making money, some power's being influenced, something's going on.
Yeah, in other words, we'll let this prosper at the expense of that.
There you go. So we'll have these charter schools built up.
Right.
So this group can have whatever they need to have, and we'll let all the poor kids that can't afford these schools or they can't get in because they only have a certain number of kids they allow in, go to these public schools and just let them just.
Yeah, it's called the one percenters.
Yeah.
And the one percenters control, the majority of the wealth. And as long as their piece is good and they still can control that, why do we care about the remaining 99%?
Exactly. And it really is like that. And
really like
and
that.
like the Project 2025 piece where they talked about the public school kids are eligible to be drafted. But all the charter kids and all the other kids, you're seeing that divide play out right in front of our faces.
Yeah.
And what I don't understand is that a lot of those rural, poor Caucasians are going to have their kids in these environments too.
Yeah.
And you're allowing a particular party to do this, and it's going to affect your kids, but it shouldn't have to hit your front door.
It shouldn't have to hit your front door.
Yeah.
And it's real, folks, because I talk to some senior executives that don't even know about Project 2025.
Okay.
And I tell them some of the things. They'll say, "Oh, that'll never happen. Oh, that'll never happen." Guess what? A stroke of a pen.
Bang. Done.
Stroke of a pen.
Look, they get the right people in,
Stroke of a pen.
it can happen.
It can happen.
It can happen. So I mean,
It's real.
it's real and it's interesting. So we're about to come up on a break. I believe they're ready for us to take a quick break. We'll be right back right after these words.
Jesus said, "This is the first and greatest commandment. Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And the second is like it. Love others as you love yourself." So the question is, do you love? I mean, do you really live the definition of love? Are you patient? Are you kind? Do you celebrate in the blessings of others? Are you humble? Have you died to self? Are you slow to anger? Do you keep no record of wrongs? Do you always protect? Always trust? Always hope? Always persevere? This is what it means to love, the way God intended. So the question remains, do you love?
Well, praise the Lord. We are back. Love, that's really the consideration of the other, and it's what we're not seeing in our current political climate. This whole discussion is really kind of weaving a common thread. We start talking about treatment of people, school systems, politics, and we learned that another assassination attempt was there for former President Trump. They found somebody on one of the golf course properties with a rifle, and he obviously has some mental health issues and some other things that has been going on. They arrested the man, and regardless of how you feel about somebody, and I said this in the first attempt on his life too, regardless how you feel about somebody, violence is not the answer. The other thing is this: if we continue as a country to live in this us versus them philosophy, we're going to see violence in different spots going on.
Yeah.
We all have to live in this country together, whether you're Democrat, Republican, independent, whatever you are, this, that. But if we keep this, the other side is my enemy, we're going to continue to see other issues continue to rise up like we've been seeing.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And, this Mr. Ralph, I think that's how you say it, Ralph, who was the suspect in the second alleged attempt on former President Trump. He voted for Trump.
Yeah. They try to spin it like it was. Yeah. I know.
And
I know.
it just continues to show that mental health is a real thing. It's a real sickness. This is just not, I shouldn't have said thing, because it's not a thing. It's a sickness.
It is.
It's like asthma or allergies or a cancer or a heart disease or so it's a sickness that needs a cure, and having access or not having access is going to perpetuate itself further. But as you and I have talked before, this and it's just repeating history. Rome was never conquered.
Yeah.
Rome was never conquered. Rome fell from within, and all those little things that you're saying starts to break down the fabric of what made the country great.
Yep.
And certainly I believe there's still more good people than bad people.
Absolutely.
But I think it was the Osmond brothers said that one bad apple don't spoil the whole bunch. So hopefully we can we'll be able to get rid of these bad apples. But it's a real thing.
It's real. And it's not. Unfortunately, we saw this with Reagan was shot coming out of his car in the 80s. That was I think it was the last public attempt that we know about. I think that was.
Yes.
Reagan was.
Yep.
And then, of course, you had JFK in the back. So these lone wolves out there, they are out there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's another thing. So many states and government agencies have cut back on mental health care. That they either don't have the money to take care of stuff, or if somebody goes in, they got them for a couple of days, give them a little test, and some people, they know how to fake it and play, and they just release them after 3 days. And we're on a defensive.
No, you're
Once they do it, then we take it seriously, not beforehand.
Right. And whether it was Lee Harvey Oswald that shot President Kennedy, or John Wilkes Booth that shot Abraham Lincoln, or the I forget the guy's name that shot President Reagan at the time. If you read up on their lives and their upbringing, they all came up in very isolated, non-loving, you are nothing, you're no good type of environments, and had a wealth of failure in their life that caused them to go in this direction that they went in. So it's this mental health thing goes all the way back to that. If you really do the research and the history on these individuals, and it just continues to say, hey, we got to be able to recognize it. I'm one of the mental health caregivers on where I work, and it's not that I'm a licensed doctor, but they take you through this training, this 3-4 day training that allows you to see certain things in folks, and then say, hey, we have an employee assistance program. They're there to help you with all kind of things. You can just give them a call, and you're there so people can feel like they can either they can come talk to you, or you're able to identify certain behaviors that says, hey, this person may be having an issue.
Yeah, and one of the things I'm most glad about is the stigma of mental health is starting to go away. Yeah. Where people are just, to me, the admission that you have a mental health challenge is a sign of strength and going to get some help rather than resorting to, binge drinking, drugs, some other crazy thing to help cope with what you're dealing with. But there's a young group growing up saying, hey, I got this struggle. I'm gonna get some help. Doesn't mean I'm weak. I'm gonna still go to work, still do my thing. Yeah. And then on the flip side too, this generation, we always say they can't hold out of pressure, and most of them can. But here's the problem with this. Here's the problem. Number one, who raised them?
Yeah.
Right? Number two, here's the catch-22. We built a life for them so they didn't have to experience what we experienced. But what we experienced gave us the strength to deal with life.
That's right.
We took that away.
Took it away.
So,
Salt.
of course, they can't.
Salt.
My kids do not know about eating government food. And I'm working class. I ain't saying act like I'm rich, but they don't know about hand-me-downs like that. But what gave me, I was cooking at 10, 11 years old. What gave us the strength we have is what we eliminated from their lives. And we wonder why they don't have the strength to do certain things. Well, we're kind of at fault to a certain degree. Not all the way, but to a certain degree.
And the reality of that, and that's very true, is that it's not just us. Our parents were easier on us.
Every
than
generation.
Their parents were on them.
Yep.
And
It just keeps going.
It just kind of has happened, and you kind of have to. How do you right that ship?
Yeah.
But it's real. There's nothing wrong with work.
No.
You know, there's nothing wrong with chores. There's nothing wrong with no. You know.
Yeah.
You know, certain things have to be in the fabric of bringing a child. You know, I don't. There probably are many folks that do not agree, but to me, the best, most important job I've ever had is being a father.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
There's nothing more
There's no
important.
comparison. None.
Of being a good father, first and foremost. That doesn't. Yes, I have to work. Yes, I have to be faithful in the work.
Yeah.
You know, of the Lord and the other things that I'm involved in. But that's an important, a very important job that everybody doesn't take serious.
No. Because to me, if you succeed at business, but fail to be a good person, to me, you failed.
You failed.
I'm sorry, you failed.
Yeah, you failed.
You failed. You know, I'm not saying everybody's life is perfect, everybody's family perfect, but you got to know you did your part. You know, and I'm not saying that you take kids back to living in the hood and all that stuff like that if you could afford better, but give them some challenges along the way to show them that life isn't easy.
Yeah.
No, like you said, I'm not going to do this for you. Figure it out. And if you can't, then come to me and we'll talk about it.
Right. And don't put the raising of the child or the children all on the mother. You know, I've heard things before say, okay, well, if the lights go out and we don't have any food, that's the man's fault. But if the kids are bad, that's the way. That's wrong.
No, that is wrong.
That doesn't make any sense. You know, it doesn't make any sense. So it takes two.
Yep.
And doesn't mean that one can't be successful. I know single mothers, I know single fathers that have done a great job with their kids. But if there is a union of a husband and wife there, it's up to both of them to raise those kids.
It does help. I heard a quote, hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. And weak men create hard times.
That's right.
It's that constant cycle.
No, you're right. No, that's a good quote.
That's
a great quote.
It just goes. And I think that I'm glad that this generation is saying, look, I need help with so-and-so, so-and-so. When I was reading a couple of years ago, I believe it was Princeton had one of the highest suicide rates. Cornell's now?
Cornell's the number one.
It's now, okay. And the pressure.
Yeah, the pressure. And the competition. Competition and the pressure. It's the highest, out of all the Ivy League schools, Cornell has the highest suicide rate. I think Princeton is number two. Okay. But still, 1 or 2 doesn't make any difference. Kids killing themselves is a bad thing. But to your point earlier, I've never learned anything from my success. I've only learned through my struggle and failure.
Yeah, man. Oh, God.
I've learned nothing through those things I've been successful at.
Right.
Nothing. And you wonder why, but that's part of the process. Yeah. So if we take struggle away from something that we're trying to build, they're not going to be able to withstand when it comes.
No. My mom, single parent, she raised us extremely independent. Extremely independent. And she says it now. Because we're not disrespectful, but we're taught to speak our minds, you know, in a respectful way to adults and stuff. But because her whole thing was, you know, she had to work. She had to be out of the house by 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. We had to do breakfast, walk to school. I mean, that's when you could have your kids out all day long and
You know they
don't
be
stay in
home.
this
Yeah,
house.
yeah.
You know, go outside and play. But it taught it built something in us to have this independence. I remember when my son was learning how to when he was learning to crawl. So he wanted to crawl up the steps. So I would walk with him. I would go with him to crawl up the steps. So he's going up the steps, and I can't remember how old he was. And he looked up, and I guess he saw there was more steps and wanted to climb back down. I said, "Oh no,
Gotta keep going.
no, we ain't starting this early.
Yeah.
No, sir, no. Let's got him. Let's go up."
Yeah.
So then just kept doing it with him until eventually he could do it all himself.
All himself.
Go up on his own, go down on his own. But I saw that fear, and it wasn't like a harsh thing. It was like, come on, no, we can do it.
We can do it.
And just kind of slowly just guide him, hold him while you
Yeah,
do it,
while
to
he
show
does
him
it,
that he can
that
do
you
it.
can do it.
Because I don't want that ingrained in it. Because
You don't want to quit. You don't
There
want
you
to
go.
give up.
There you
give
go.
up spirit.
And you know how it is. Once something is ingrained in your child when they're young,
Yeah. Ooh,
man,
it's hard to break.
it's
It's hard to break.
it's hard to
It's
break.
hard to break.
But I don't know what we're going to talk about. This is
No,
good,
but it's
though.
so important
Yeah.
because even in school, you know, the educational system that we have here in the States will label kids.
Yes.
Say, oh, he has
Yep.
ADD or he's a slow learning, because they're just, in some instances, not all teachers, because I love teachers, and
Yeah.
I think that's one of the most under-respected and underpaid jobs that there
Yeah.
ever was. But there are systems that label kids.
Yes.
And then once you label kids, say, well, you're not that bright, so
Yeah.
you need to go learn how to kick a ball, or you need to go, you know, don't test the kid.
Yes.
So, but that's why it's important that the parent is there,
Yeah.
watching, and being mindful of no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let them try that.
Right. You got to advocate for your
Yeah,
child.
you got to advocate for your
Like
kid.
they did with Bishop Walker was here for Power of God, and he said that, you know, the teachers were concerned about him because he was always moving. What they found out, he was too smart for the class.
Yeah.
They thought he wasn't smart enough, and you have to
You have
advocate
to advocate
for your child. When I was in high school, some of the most intelligent kids were the ones in the bad hallway. And they
they're
labeled
bored.
them bad because they're bored. Math could just,
Yeah.
you know, spit it off. And this is why, you know, some schools, like those, what is it called, master schools? You know what I'm talking about.
Montessori.
Montessori schools. A friend of mine's, he was like a principal and district director of a few of them. And he was talking to me about their way of learning. And I like it because, and it's hard when you got one teacher with 20 kids in the classroom. Everybody doesn't learn the same way. Like you said,
That's right.
finding their genius and helping to develop that area of genius, and they will do a whole lot better in school, feel more confident. But to me, it doesn't start in the school.
No.
It starts at home.
Starts at home. It starts at
Got to
home.
be involved in your children's education.
Got to.
And not let TV and social media raise them because, you know, at least they got something to do. They're leaving me alone, so they're watching TV.
Yeah, it's not.
That's really what it is.
That's what it is.
At least
And
they
who
ain't
knows-
bothering me.
And who knows, you know, the stuff on TV today is not what was on TV when I was a kid. And, you know, and even when you was a kid, you know, it's not the stuff that we saw when we were growing up. So it's I do think we can do better.
Yeah, we
Be
can.
better and do better.
We can. We're coming up on another break real quick, and then we'll be back. We're going to talk more about a few things for about another maybe 10 minutes, and then we're going to go on about our day. But this has been a good topic. You're listening to On Point. Pastor Nick, I'm here with Pastor Rich White. We're so excited about tomorrow for Reveal Day. Bishop will be here preaching, and we'll talk more about that in a minute, and we'll be right back. We are back. We have a few minutes left in the program. We hope you're enjoying this. If you haven't done so, please share, comment, like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. So we've been having a very cool conversation.
Yeah.
Your kids are grown. Mine are still young. Many of you may not, well, actually most of y'all don't know. We used to have a SAGE program back in, I don't think I ever told you this. We had a SAGE program back in the old church, right? And I think you were my first mentor in the old church, me and my brothers.
Yeah.
And you know, it's so funny how every now and then, a few things that people will say to me growing up will come back. I still remember some of the things you taught us, and it come up at the most unique times. And I say all that to say, first, thank you. That's number one. Number two, we don't realize that what we sow in the kids early, it's going to come back in a harvest in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
I look back at, all the people that sown in my life when I was younger and how at the right time, something I completely forgot about, the Holy Ghost will bring it back to my remembrance. Like I said about the, what you think your dad told you. Just those little things. I was grown when you told me that, but the stuff when I was younger, but you get what I'm saying. Those, we forget that our job is not to bring the increase. That's God's job. We plant and we water.
Yeah.
God's the one that
That's right.
brings the increase. And a part of who I am today is because of people like you. And I do appreciate that. I don't think I never talked to you about this. It's cool.
You're welcome. You're very welcome.
Yeah, and
that was good.
Yeah.
Y'all was straight. We used to ride around in my Jeep.
In the Jeep. Yep, I remember that. Yep. So we the Jeep. From Bishop, from everybody else, and I say all that to say that. And I'm not trying to. It's not about me. I'm just trying to sit there and show. We're talking about youth and young people. We never know what we're sowing into them.
Yeah, Lisa, my wife, she's out, and you're welcome, and it was great. That Sage Ministry, you know what's going to happen now. Bishop's going to hear us, and he's going to tell us to revive it again.
Oh, no, we're working on our mentorship program again.
I know.
We had it before the pandemic, and then
the pandemic came. But, my wife, she always says, whether it was with our daughter or our son, for young women, you have to tell them you're beautiful, you're smart, you're pretty, you're not, don't worry about what the world says. And it needs to come from me as a father.
Yes.
Yep. And the son needs to be like, look, man, you can do this. Don't worry about it. Guess what? It's okay to cry. Yeah. Things that make them feel, okay, I'm safe. This is a safe place for me. And so that when they get older, particularly for men pouring into their daughters or those young ladies that they're helping groom as they grow up, when they get older, they know what good looks like. Yeah. Like, you can't be a knucklehead and step to my daughter because she knows what good looks like. She knows, and it's important that kids get that really young because you can, like you said earlier, you can destroy a child very early.
You can.
Very early.
You can.
Very, very, very early. And children need comfort and care. And I've read all kind of studies of, of animals and how they do a behavioral experiments on animals, and they'll say, okay, we'll take the mothers away, but we'll put like a fake soft look-alike animal in the cage. It looks like the mother, and then we'll put one that's over here that's really hard and rough. Both of them are giving the little animals food, but the little animals will migrate to that one that is soft and comforting. And kids need to be comforted so they know they have a chance to grow. Right.
Right. It's finding that balance between. I was talking to my grandma. She grew up in North Carolina, so kids, they had kids to help farm. Yeah. So it was more like you're here to work. Yeah. Be seen and not heard. Be quiet. Do your job. Go to bed. Wake up. And I think one generation, they took that hardness and went way over to the other side and was too soft. And now we're talking about finding that middle ground of, I'm not your friend, like some people do now. You're not my slave. I would say slave. You're not here just to serve.
Not my servant.
Right? You're my child. And like you said, it's allowing them to experience some hardship within a loving, nurturing, caring environment. Yeah. I'm teaching my son, your mother goes to the grocery store, you need to be out there.
When she comes home, she ain't about,
Get them bags.
get them back.
You know?
Yeah.
Your sister.
And don't have to ask to ask.
No, yeah,
She's home,
exactly.
you know where she was.
You know.
Get them
yes,
bags.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, we get in the car, open the door for your sister. Wait for her to get in the car, close the door. You know? We not, because I'm trying to sew it into him now.
Gotcha.
And for him, but also for her, where she knows, no, I'm not entitled to it, but I have this expectation.
I have this expectation, and I'm worthy
Yes.
of this expectation
Yes.
because I've been experienced this my entire life.
Yes.
So why would I go back to something
Thank
that
you.
is unlike what I've experienced
Exactly.
for my entire life?
Exactly.
Because of you? No, I ain't doing it for you.
No.
Because you
No.
look good, or because you know whatever. No.
Yes.
This is what I have come. This is what I know.
Yes.
So this is what I expect.
This is what care looks
That
like.
or even more.
Yes,
you
exactly.
know, or even more.
Like you said with your daughter, no knucklehead can come, no, because my daddy taught me,
It's funny
Yes.
you say that. You know, our son David was about 8 or 9, and Renee, they're 4 years apart. And I told Dad, I said, Dave, you know, one day your sister's gonna like a boy, and if that boy gets through you to me and he's no good, I'm coming after you.
Yeah.
And he's
There-
like, what
there
are
you
you
go.
talking about?
There you go.
I said, no, he shouldn't get through you to
Yes.
me if he's no good.
Yes, yes, yep. If
And he's never forgotten it.
good, because if you all two are together,
Yeah,
if something happened to her,
that's right.
I'm talking to you
I'm
about
You.
it. And look, and I believe in raising up strong, powerful women.
Oh yeah.
Be a boss, be a CEO, do all that stuff. I'm glad that my daughter gets to see women preachers and women CEOs and see the possibilities of what she can be. But also, no.
No, we're not minimizing the expectation of our daughters to go and do great things and be great people and be strong leaders. We're internalizing the fact of
Yes.
true biblical manhood.
Yep.
It's that you take care of stuff.
Yep.
You take care of stuff. It's for
Exactly.
both of them.
Yep.
It's to know you're supposed to be taken care of, and it's to know you're supposed to take care of.
Exactly.
You know.
Yep. Yeah. Look, I tell my son all the time, we got work, take care of our family. Well, can we go do this? You got money for it? That's my favorite phrase now. You got money for it? Well, you got money. No, I have money for it. You have nothing for it, right? Because I'm trying to put it in his head like every time we go to Target, I don't have to buy y'all toys.
Yeah.
I'll spoil you. But y'all need to understand something. Life costs, and you got to work.
You got to work. I mean, it's in the Bible. You don't work, you don't eat.
Yeah.
And a man that doesn't want to work, I'm not saying women shouldn't work.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. Women should work too.
Right.
But I'm saying we're talking about our sons right now. A man has to want to work.
Yep.
Have to like to work. You have to be driven by work.
Yes. And no matter how you feel, you can be in the worst day possible. You got to get up and do what you got to do. Because people rely on you to get up and go.
And get up and go.
And I believe in self-care as a man. We were talking about it before we came on. I believe in self-care as a man, but also understand men work, as Bishop says, we work wounded. we work hard, it just is what it is.
Yeah, and it's just it's good for everybody.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good for everybody because we've been taught that if we're in a traditional household where there's a man and a wife, that we're really the thermometer. If we're crazy, this house won't be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we're cool and calm and folks okay, everything's cool.
Yeah.
So and it's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing.
It's the way
wrong
it's
with
supposed to be. I know a lot of the, moderns, they want, it's a whole nother topic. We talk about this another day. They want you to be traditional with them, but they want to be non-traditional with you. And that don't work. That don't work. I know it's bad. That does not work. But we seeing that now. I need him to do this. What you bringing to the table? Me? Nah, I need you to bring more than just you. Yeah. I'm just saying. That's a whole other topic.
No, and that goes both ways.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
I
Yeah.
think you were doing a Bible study. Lisa was there. She said, "Hey, you gotta. It's okay to aim high, but you gotta shoot your best shot. You gotta know where you fit in, and not have an expectation beyond what is you should be expecting.
Are you bringing to the table what you expect?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And if you're not,
then we got a problem.
you got a problem.
In both ways. He can't be sitting on the couch playing PlayStation and she going out,
Grinding.
Come on, man. All right, we got to get out of here. We hope y'all enjoyed it today. Don't forget to join us tomorrow, 8 o'clock virtually, 11 a.m. in person. Bishop will be back. He'll be preaching, and we're doing our reveal day as we get to see the child that chose us. If you were unable to participate last week in the Chosen Project, you can do so. Maya, you can put it in the chat right now, the link to the website where you can sponsor a child. You can upload your picture there, do all the information, or go to our website, go to Bethany.com, and it'll send you, the link should be there to send you to our missions website. But check the comments, and it's right there in there for you. We no longer require COVID vaccinations, and masks are optional. We're still announcing that because some people still think we, but just come to church. Praise the Lord. Bible study on Wednesday at 12 noon, in person only, 7 p.m., 12 noon, and in person. If you're interested in receiving Bethany news updates, text BBC News to 28950. Again, if you're interested in receiving Bethany news updates, text BBC News to 28950. To receive devotional messages, text BBC Elevate, all one word, to 28950. Email us your prayer requests at prayer@gotobethany.com. Again, that is prayer@2Bethany.com. Email us your prayer requests. Our intercessory prayer team prays over the prayer requests every single week. Also, don't forget to subscribe to all of our platforms, David G. Evans 1, BBC Event J on YouTube, Facebook, all of that, Instagram, and of course, subscribe to DGEMS and On Point on all of our podcast platforms. On behalf of Bishop David G. Evans, I'm Pastor Nick, Pastor White. Thank you so much again for joining us.
Always good to see
We'll be back next week with a live episode, Lord willing, and we can take your phone calls there. We hope you enjoyed this. Share it with somebody, tag somebody. We love you. And as Bishop always says, faith acts like a thing is so, even when it's not so, that it might be so. God bless you. We'll see you next week.